Hey guys, it's your girl, the Bria Serenity. I'm back at you with another prophetic word, another prophetic dream. October 12th, 2024, the Lord gave me a dream about Nicki Minaj and her husband, Kenneth Petty. In this dream, Nicki Minaj's husband was going on this campaign where he was trying to clear his name. Okay? There were some accusations that had resurfaced that he was trying to defend himself against. He was going to women trying to give himself an opportunity to share his side of the story and tell what really happened, okay? And what people were trying to do, that people were trying to make him out to be this monster, that he wasn't actually this monster, and he wanted the opportunity to tell his story. He was coming to women like me, hey, give me a platform and just interview me and just let me talk. And women like me were like, absolutely not. You are a convicted felon. You serve time for the crime they're accusing you of, and you're currently on the sex offenders list. I'm not giving you a platform. He was like, just please give me an opportunity. People are trying to be, I'm not a monster. I was young, you know, I wouldn't do this again, and blah, blah, blah. He was really convincing, very charismatic, and really good at making people think that he was innocent. It kind of reminds me of like Ted Bundy. How Ted Bundy was like defending himself, and he was really advocating for himself to make it seem like people were lying on him and he would never do such a thing. But even as I was talking to Kenneth Petty in this dream and he was talking, I felt a soulless feeling. Like he did not have a soul. Like this man did not have a conscience. This man did not feel emotions or feel things like regular people. Things that he felt were not that of a normal human being. This man had dead eyes. Like his eyes were dead. He felt cold. He felt sinister almost. But even though when he's talking to you, he seems very charismatic, he seems very nice, but in this dream I just couldn't help but feel cold whenever he would open up his mouth to speak. But there came a time where some of us were questioning, like, man, did he really do it? Because he was so convincing and he was so good at trying to get people to believe that he really wasn't who these women were trying to say that he was. Nobody was willing to give him a platform. So these accusations that may come are something new. They're not something old. This is not something from the past. These are new accusations that may come up soon about her husband, and people may be accusing him of something that he's done in the past, like rape or sexual assault or assault or something of that sort. Accusations about her husband are coming if they have not surfaced already, and it's not the case that he served time for already. This is something new. He's going to be trying to defend himself. This is going to be the time where he's going to be trying to be in the public eye. Like I said, he did not have a conscience. This man was evil. This man was a monster and did not have a soul. It seemed like he did not have a soul, and it was really strange. And he reminded me of Ted Bundy. You know, Ted Bundy was this charismatic guy, but he's a psychopath. And so the dream switched, and we ended up in this assembly. We ended up in this room where there was a lot of chairs, and we sat down, and he was sitting next to me, and this girl, she was not a woman, sat in front of us. And I remember she had these braids, and he began to get aroused. He began to sweat and become more animalistic, almost like he was trying his best not to hunt her. He reached out to touch her hair, and I began to look at him and be so disturbed because I had never seen anything like it outside of like Law and Order SVU. And I looked at him and I said, you raped that woman, didn't you? He looked at me and he smirked and was like, yes, I did. And I got really disturbed and I got really scared and I ran. Ended up in some type of salon, and all the women who were in that salon were women who were speaking out against her husband, right? There were people who were confessing the things that he had done or information they may have had. And Nicki Minaj was very upset about this, and she sent people to shoot up the salon. So all the women who were speaking out against her husband, all the people who were advocating for the women who were speaking out against her husband, the salon got shut up and it was bullets everywhere. I specifically remember ducking and getting hit in my shoulder by a bullet. I remember seeing the woman who shot up the salon, and she most definitely worked for Nicki Minaj, and Nicki Minaj was trying to keep people silent. Women who were trying to speak out against her husband, she was trying to silence them forcefully or pay them to be silent. And if she couldn't pay them, she was going to force them to be quiet. After that, the dream switched again, and the woman who shot up the other salon in defense of Nicki Minaj's husband had her own hair salon, except her hair salon looked run down. It was messy. She was more so on the ghetto side. And Nicki Minaj went there to see her, and she went into this hidden back room, and there were children in this room. These were children who looked like hungry, neglected. They had on wife beaters and stuff, and it was an old television set, and this room was like so small. And Nicki Minaj was upset about the children in the salon, and she was upset about how this woman was doing business, and she was really upset with this woman. She was getting an attitude with Nicki, like, who are you to tell me how to do business? And Nicki Minaj was like, you know what, I don't want to deal with you anymore. And the lady was like, you can't just tell me you don't want to deal with me anymore. You can't just be coming in here trying to tell me how to do business. And Nicki Minaj left and was trying to do away with this woman, but it's like she couldn't. right? She had already done too much for Nicki. She couldn't just get rid of her. And Nicki Minaj and this woman began to go at it, and it began an ongoing feud, an ongoing battle. Now, this woman in the salon was not famous, but she did have motion, you know, in the industry. She was able to get away with things. She was able to navigate spaces. She was able to locate people. Maybe she worked for multiple people in the industry. She was like a mafia Olivia Pope. Like, she was not even, I won't even say mafia, but she definitely was somebody who handled things behind the scenes, who did things like shoot up salons on her behalf and shut people up on her behalf, but without tracing it back to Nicki, if that makes sense. Like, women did not trace what she was doing back to Nicki, even though she was working for Nicki. And that was the end of my dream. Another important thing about this dream is that Nicki knew what her husband was. She knew that he was a monster, and she was trying to like protect him. She was trying to keep him from going to prison. She was trying to keep him covered, even though she knew what he was. Like, she knew he was a monster. She knew he was a killer. She knew that he was this, like, I don't know. She knew what he was, and she still tried to cover for him, even though she knew what he was. Like, it was almost like as if she did not care about the other women or his victims, and she was only thinking about her family. She was only thinking about how she loved him and how he loved her and how he made her feel, and not thinking about the reality of the situation. I'm not sure if it's because she's delusional or if it's because she didn't simply care, and she's kind of like, this is my man and I'm going to cover him, I'm going to protect him. She most definitely knew what he was and what he was doing, and she tried to protect him as much as she could, and she went as far as to shutting women up to keep him out of trouble. She went as far as to harassing women, making sure their mouths are closed, you know, sending people after other people to make sure that they don't bother her and her husband anymore, shutting down any gossip, shutting down any rumors. She really went out of her way to cover her husband. She used whatever resources that she had, whatever fan base that she had, to protect her husband. That's important to know, because I don't want to make it seem like she didn't know. She knew exactly what he was. She knew exactly what he was doing. Okay, in this dream, that's very important. Like, she is not innocent in this, and like I said, I'm not sure if she is delusional to the point where she doesn't really want to fully accept what he is because she loves him, or if she simply does not care and she's just making an effort to like protect him. Like I said earlier, these accusations that are going to come up about her husband are going to be for the present time. They're not going to be from the past, not from 1995. They're going to be more relevant. They're going to come up, things that have happened since he has been married to Nicki Minaj, or while he has been with Nicki Minaj. And Nicki is not going to be able to cover this up as she has been trying to, okay? In the dream, the Lord showed me that she has been trying to shut these people up, but she's not going to be able to shut everybody up. She's not going to be able to silence everybody with her words or threats or sending her goons or sending her fans after people. She's not going to be able to cover her husband forever. Her husband is going to be a part of her downfall. Her husband and whoever this lady is that she's doing business with, this woman and her husband Kenneth Petty, are going to be part of the reason why she's humbled. That's going to be a part of bringing her down. And also, like I said earlier, she is also aware of the monster that her husband is, but she is like, I love him, right? That song, I'm in love with a monster, dun, 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 dun. Like, that is kind of where she's at the moment. She's in love with a monster. The Lord also showed me by that dream that he's threatening businesses and threatening people who spoke out against her husband, or people who spoke about her husband. So anybody who spoke out against her husband, accused her husband, or threatened to come forward or with anything, she silenced them in some way. The salon is a place where women get their hair done. It's a safe place for women to be able to not only just like, you know, get freshened up, but also for them to just talk about what's going on. And Nicki is like, no, we're not doing that. You guys aren't about to talk about my husband. I'm going to defend my husband. Nicki Minaj is going to do whatever she needs to do to protect her husband, no matter what he does. Lord also revealed that the woman who came to shoot up the salon, the bullets represented words against people, piercing words, damaging words. She may not be shooting up salons or threatening people with guns, but she's most definitely accusing people, blackmailing people, using her words to threaten people, to silence them, trying to bribe them, trying to get them intimidated to the point where they shut their mouth, to the point where they're afraid to come forward, to the point where they're going to think twice because they're like, oh, I'm afraid that something's going to happen to me, that something's going to happen to my family if I do not comply. Nicki Minaj is using words against these people who are trying to come forward. Very piercing words, so very threatening, very accusatory, very like, nobody's gonna believe you, I'm gonna shut you up, like either take this money and hush, or you're gonna have to deal with me, I'm gonna sick the dogs after you type of energy. So in my dream, When the woman came to shoot up the salon, she opened fire on all the women in the salon, and I ducked and got pierced in my shoulder, okay? These bullets were flying were threats, you know, accusations, things to intimidate the women in the salon to get them to be quiet. Getting pierced in my shoulder represented the women who are going to have a big burden when they start speaking out against Kenneth Petty and Nicki Minaj, okay? The authority that's going to be challenged when people start coming out against Nicki Minaj, people who are prophetic and other people alike who are going to speak out. A responsibility that's going to come with this, okay, because she's not an unknown celebrity. She's not somebody who's well known. People love her. Her fan base loves her. They would hate to hear anything negative or anything related associated with her. Shoulder also represented in the dream bearing or carrying responsibility. So the people who are going to come forward about these things, the people who are going to be speaking out against Kenneth Petty and Nicki Minaj are going to have to undergo a lot of warfare. They're going to be going through a lot of death threats, a lot of harassment online. They're going to have to endure a lot in order to tell their story. This is not going to be easy for them. And the women, a lot of the women who are going to speak out are going to be put in harm's way. Maybe not because of Nicki herself, but because of her fans and because of the people who work for her. You guys need to be praying about these people who are getting ready to come forward and tell their story. You know, just how people tried to come forward and tell their stories about Diddy, and Diddy would try to like do away with those people before they could really speak out or before they could really tell their story or threaten them or make them sign an NDA or something of the sort. Nicki Minaj or her husband are going to do the same thing. They're going to try to intimidate the people who want to speak out. They're going to try to silence the people who want to speak out. And please understand that Nicki Minaj is aware of what is happening or what is going to happen, and she's going to be a part of the reason why these women are being silent. She is going to be a willing participant, okay? She's not being brainwashed. She's not being manipulated. She is aware of what her husband is, and she is aware of what she's trying to do in order to protect him. Bullets, again, represented words, threats, accusations, things that they're going to use to pierce the women, scare them, intimidate them, and force them to be quiet, okay? There were so many bullets flying through this window, okay, trying to get these women put down, trying to get these women to be quiet. This could also represent real bullets as well, because she hangs around with those types of people, those people who really will put a bullet in you. The Lord said there will be a light that is shined on Nicki Minaj's husband, and it's a part of her judgment. This is going to be something that is a part of her humbling. This is something that's also going to contribute to her downfall of her career, okay? Her husband is going to have something to do with that. These accusations that are going to come out against him, this revelation, all these things that are going to come to light having to do with her husband, and as well as this woman that she is associated with. The Lord did not reveal to me who this woman was. I just know that she was closely connected to Nicki Minaj. She did a lot of dirty work for Nicki Minaj, and that woman and her husband are going to drag her down. Like every time somebody spoke out against her husband, whether it be a business, whether it be a platform, TMZ or whatever, somebody who's a nobody, she would try to go to war on her husband's behalf. Like I said, she is aware of what she's doing. She knows that she's trying to protect him. She knows that she's in love with a monster, but she doesn't care because that monster loves her, right? But people like Kenneth Petty are incapable of really loving somebody. Nicki Minaj is going to use her words, her resources, her people around her to silence the women who are going to come forward. She is going to go to war with anybody who comes up against her family, who tries to tell the truth. She does not want the truth to get out. She does not want her husband to go back to jail. She does not want her family to be split up, and she'll do anything to protect her family from being split, even if that means harming people who really were victimized by her husband. In my dream, Nicki Minaj sent these people to act on her behalf. So Nicki Minaj herself may not be doing these things directly. As the Lord was showing me, I didn't see her doing anything in the dream other than like being in agreement with what they were doing and being like basically giving the order, but she wasn't the one holding the gun. So she may throw the rock and hide her hand. She may give the order and try to act like, oh, I don't know what's going on, but she most definitely is not innocent in this situation. There are people acting on her behalf to handle this in private, but the woman that she was relying on to handle this situation is messy, okay? This woman is messy. This woman does not do business well. In my dream, the Lord showed me these neglected children in her salon in the back room with an old television set, which leads me to believe that this woman that is connected to Nicki Minaj also is connected to some form of child trafficking or human trafficking. And Minaj was upset about how she was doing business and how she was doing things, and Nicki Minaj did not want to be connected to that. She drew the line at human trafficking, you know what I'm saying? And so she's like, hey, I'm not doing business with you. I don't like the way you do business. You messy. You gonna get me caught up. You gonna have this rub off on me. I can't have that. And the woman like, you can't just do away with me. These people who are around her are not of God, okay? These are not God-filled people. These are not Holy Spirit-filled people. These are not people who fear the Lord. These are people who are evil. She is surrounded by some really, really sinister people who do some really, really messed up things. In my dream, Nicki tried to do away with this woman, but she could not easily rid herself herself of this woman. This woman knew too much. This woman had did too much for Nicki, or silence her like she could everybody else. Minaj and her husband are threatening victims of her husband, okay? Not just the one woman who they tried to get to recant her statement in 1995. Be in the present moment or in the future or the soon future, there are going to be people that come forward about her husband. They're going to threaten those victims and try to keep them silent about what they know, or keep other people silent about what they think they know. So anybody who may try to report on this, anybody who may try to speak on this, they're not going to be able to speak on it without paying a price, right? They're going to have people come for them. They're going to have people attack them. They're going to have people even hold them at gunpoint. People shoot up their stuff, destroy their homes, destroy their properties, their place of business, whatever it may be. Anybody who tries to speak out against this is going to experience a lot of warfare. I heard the Lord say that both are involved in human trafficking in some way. In my dream, I could not tell if Nicki Minaj was upset that the person that she was connected to was participating in human trafficking, so she was like outraged at the fact that the children were even in that room, and she's kind of like, I don't want nothing to do with this, or if she was just upset at how sloppily this person was moving and how they weren't really being careful, and she was like concerned that it was going to come back to her, that it was going to get put back on her. Either way, she's still connected to it in some way. The Lord said both of them are connected to human trafficking in some way. There is a woman attached to her that is sloppy and connected to this, and the Lord said the rabbit hole is deep. The rabbit hole goes so deep. Also mentioned drug pushing, like some type of drugs. Laura also showed me a vision of her house being raided, or one of her homes being raided. It was empty, but it was still raided, and I saw a SWAT team like going through her house and raiding her house, carrying out drugs, carrying out things that should not have been there. So the Lord did show me that. I don't know if Nicki Minaj is directly involved with the human trafficking, or if she is just associated with people who are involved in this, people who are moving this, people who are like participating in this. So the Lord said that there are a lot of people around her who are monsters, and they're doing bad business, and they're going to drag her down. Lord also said to me like drug cartel, moving weight, and I heard trafficking, like not even just trafficking of people, but trafficking of drugs. Okay. I also saw a vision of her husband on trial, like he actually was like on the stand, like testifying, you know, trying to defend himself in the courts. This may be soon to come. This may be already be happening, but it's behind the scenes, or it's soon to come. And why is the Lord giving me these dreams as of recently? Like, why does the Lord keep speaking to me about celebrities and giving me these dreams in detail? Why? Because the Lord wants to reveal what's really going on in Hollywood. The Lord wants you guys to stop supporting these people. You don't know where your money is going. You don't know how things are being pushed. If it's not pushing forward the kingdom of God, you are pushing forward the kingdom of darkness. If you need you guys to understand this, you need to stop streaming their music. You need to stop buying their tickets. You need to stop buying their merch. As much as we are inspired and looked up to some of these people, and we're like, oh my gosh, we love them, their music got us through tough times, whatever the case may be, it's not worth the price you're gonna have to pay later. It's not worth realizing that you helped fund human sex trafficking. It's not worth knowing that you helped support a rapist. It's not worth knowing that you supported somebody who was participating in human trafficking, knowing that you contributed to that in some way. That should make you feel some type of way. And even if you don't want to believe a word I say, ask yourself, do you want to risk being wrong? You guys to understand that I get no satisfaction in this. I'm not a Nicki hater. Like, you know, I was a big Nicki Minaj fan. With Nicki Minaj, I listened to a lot of her music until I stopped listening to secular music, right? And I was a big supporter of hers for a long time. So me releasing these words does not give me any satisfaction. I'm not saying this because I want to tear her down. I'm not saying this because I hate her. I'm not saying because I like to be messy, but this is what the Lord is revealing to me in the secret place, and he needs us to know this because he wants us to know what's going on in Hollywood. He wants us to know where our money is going. He wants us to know who we're supporting. He wants us to know these things. I have an obligation to reveal the things the Lord has revealed to me in the secret place, to reveal the state of the world, to reveal to people what they're supporting, who they're bowing down to, idols that have been established and projected onto our streams. The Lord wants us to know what we are dealing with, what's really going on. You guys really have to stop listening to secular music. You guys really have to stop putting these people on pedestals. You really have to stop supporting these people and seeing them as saints, seeing them as these people who are just amazing people, when really they're dark and they're wicked and they're doing a lot of despicable things behind the scenes, or supporting people who are doing despicable things behind the scenes. Really encourage you guys to stop streaming and give up secular music. And if it's too hard for you to give up, just like cancel your memberships, cancel your Spotify, cancel your Apple Music, and just like detox. Just detox. Just stop listening to their music for a while, and just really contemplate, like, okay, what's really going on in Hollywood? Who are these people I'm really supporting? You know, I love these people, I love their music, I love their movies, whatever the case may be, but the fact of the matter is that there's really dark stuff happening in Hollywood, and this is even partial. The Lord didn't even tell me everything, but he said the rabbit hole is deep. He said the rabbit hole is deep, and these people who are connected to Nicki are not good people. She's not innocent either. She's not good people either, because she's supporting it, she's endorsing it, she's covering it, she's covering her husband. She's covering these people who are doing these things. The Lord is revealing it to us in this time because of the things that are taking place, and the Lord does not want us to be blindsided. The Lord does not want us to be caught off guard. He does not want us idolizing these people. He does not want us putting them on a pedestal. He does not want us to worship them, and a lot of people do worship her. It's going to be very dangerous for the people who come out and speak out against her husband when that time comes. Like, stop supporting these celebrities. Pay attention to where your money is going. There are a couple other celebrities that the Lord brought up in my dreams as of recently, but he didn't really give me too much information on them. Two of the people that he brought up recently were Cameron Diaz and Ashton Kutcher. Okay, there are going to be news circulating in the media about them pretty soon. Specifically Ashton Kutcher and Cameron Diaz. And Cameron Diaz is a name I haven't heard in a really, really long time. I know she left the industry to raise her family, but her name is getting ready to be brought back up again. Justin Bieber also came up in my dreams as of recently, and I had a dream that he came back to church. But when he came back to church, he was surrounded by people, but not really receiving the help. Kind of how Kanye West was when he wanted to go back to church and sought help in the church, but a lot of the people in church idolized him and saw him as a way to get money, saw him as a way to be popular and things like that. They weren't really seeing him as a human being. And Justin Bieber is going to try to find his way back to the church. The church that he found his way back to was not like a popular church like Hillsong or something like that. This time he went the smaller route, but even then he still was faced with some of the same problems. He is going to be trying to find his way back to church really soon. Ashton Kutcher and Cameron Diaz names came up, but he did not reveal to me why their names were coming up, but their names were circulating in the media. I can only imagine why Ashton Kutcher's name came up. But Cameron Diaz, I'm not really sure why her name come up, but her name did come up in my dreams, and the Lord did show me them and how their names are getting ready to be pulled on. If you haven't already, click that like and subscribe button and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any more uploads from me. My name is Abria Serenity. I love you all with the love of the Lord, and I'll see you guys next time.